Come on in, welcome to Idled Out, where we talk all things Survivor. My name is Luke, and today we're talking about 5 Survivor players who clearly did not want to be there. From the start, they didn't want to be playing Survivor. They didn't care about Survivor, and at best, they wanted to be the first boot to get a free vacation. For most Survivor players, especially in the first 10 seasons and the most recent 10 seasons, playing Survivor is a dream come true, the culmination of sometimes decades worth of obsessive fandom and armchair quarterbacking with friends and family. Wednesday nights spent wondering what you would do if given the opportunity of a lifetime. That's most people. Believe it or not, some Survivor players didn't want to be there at all. Not for the money, not for the experience, not even for that sweet, sweet fame. Getting cast on the show and sometimes going very, very deep was just a joke that went too far. Who on earth got cast on Survivor despite not wanting to play it? Let's find out. All that said, let's count down 5 Survivor players who really, really did not want to play Survivor. At number 5 is Gabriel Cade in Survivor Marquesas. Now, Gabe wanted to play something, but it definitely was not whatever he thought Survivor was. He wanted to play a version of Survivor that does not nor has ever existed. Some idyllic version of it where no one votes anyone out, everyone lives freely, loves one another, and just enjoys the good vibes. A commune. He wanted to live in a commune. Gabe found the social politicking and backstabbing element of Survivor extremely unpleasant and refused to engage in any of it. That wasn't a problem for the pre-swap portion of the game. He was on Rotu, a tribe that never went to tribal council. It's only in the post-swap portion of the game where Gabe's morals are truly tested. At post-swap Rotu, the old Rotu players have a 5-3 majority, and V, Sean, and Rob are desperately trying to get Gabe to flip, as he's the obvious outsider. Meanwhile, John is trying to reinforce Gabe's loyalty to Rotu. It doesn't go well.
I'm not even here to play the game, man. I'm here for what we had. I'm here for that society that we had of 8 people.
Would you lie to win the game?
I'm not here to play the game. So
Well, you are playing
no.
the game, you are here.
No.
I love how mad John gets here. He's like, "You play game now." To give Gabe credit, he sticks to his guns. John is so mad that Gabe won't play Survivor in a rational or predictable manner that he flips the votes onto him. Rob tries to get Gabe to force a tie against John to save his own neck, which he does not. Plenty of Survivor players, especially in the early years, say they're on Survivor for the adventure. But Gabe's the only post-Season 1 player, in my opinion, who really meant that and played accordingly. Only he came to Survivor refusing to engage in fundamental parts of the game like voting, to the detriment of his own game. He really did just want to live in a society.
I came here to try to build a society.
At number 4 is Lisi Linares in Survivor Fiji. Lisi's just one of the strangest human beings ever cast on Survivor, ever. Even her job is odd. She's listed as a customer service rep, but I genuinely don't know why Survivor didn't go full Russell Hance's nephew on this one. She was a customer service rep for a psychic services company. Lisi was one of 19 recruits for the Fiji season, including the mythical Melissa McNulty, who dropped out before the show even started. And while this season was recruit heavy, I think everyone else here was here to play. Poorly sometimes, but they were here to play. Except Lisi. Lisi would be the first to tell you she was not a fan of Survivor going in and didn't really know the show. She was randomly approached by casting on the street, and by her own admission, Lisi was clueless about the game, didn't understand the format, and barely knew what alliances were. She wanted to and expected to be voted out first and to get a free vacation out of CBS. On any other season, Lisi's wish would have come true, and she would have been one of the first people eliminated. But, Survivor Fiji. The only reason Lisi stuck around long enough to make the jury is because she got lucky enough to end up on Moto, a tribe living in the lap of luxury against Ravu, who were given nothing. It's Survivor's own economics experiment. don't worry, Ravu, the wealth will trickle down anytime now. Anytime. As the rich got richer, Lisi progressed further and further in the game, just by virtue of constantly winning. Lisi does actually survive Moto's only pre-swap tribal council, but I mean, why bother quitting or getting voted out early when you're already basically getting paid to be at a camp that is its own mini resort? Of course, the tribe swap eventually comes for us all. And because this is the late 2000s, it's only fitting that this survivor economy crash and turn many of the haves into have-nots. That would include Lisi, who initially isn't even selected for a new tribe, and because she's never seen Survivor, she thinks she's been eliminated. Which is, wait, cause for celebration?
I thought this would be like, I'm out. Now would be a good time to exit.
Lisi ends up joining the have-not tribe Ravu after their next vote, and 15 seconds into experiencing real Survivor, asks her tribe to vote her out. Again, and I can't stress this enough, Lisi only got this far in the game because she was on a tribe that had by far the most amenities in Survivor history by a lot. They had a French press, for fuck's sake. Ultimately, Lisi herself considers her time fumbling around on Survivor to be Andy Warhol-esque performance art, an outrageous thumbing of the nose at television and Survivor in particular. Definitely not a post-game attempt to explain entering a $1 million game without understanding even the most rudimentary things like the game format or the rules. Definitely. At number 3 is Julie McGee in Survivor Blood vs. Water. One of the downfalls of the Blood vs. Water seasons is that it is sometimes very apparent which member of the pair casting was after, and which member was the, sure, yeah, we'll take you pick. Not to shade Julie too much, but, yeah. It's clear that Survivor really wanted her boyfriend John Rocker, for some reason, and Julie was just along for the ride. Why Survivor wanted John Rocker is beyond me. I guess this was the era of cast a controversial sports player, but Jeff Kent and Scott Pollard were just cocky loudmouths. They weren't saying the kinds of odious things Rocker was known for saying. Who knows? To give Survivor major benefit of the doubt, maybe they wanted a redemption story for him, but yeah, not a guy who would get cast nowadays. As for Julie, she clearly did not know what she was getting into, nor did she care.
They wanted him originally and then decided to go a different direction with the show, and then came back 6 months later and said, we still want you on, does your girlfriend want to interview too? So that's how we're here.
Wow, tone down that enthusiasm. Somewhat shockingly, until her merge quit, she was playing a good, if somewhat unremarkable game. A solid number in the Hunahpu Alliance, but a few things led her to leave the game on day 18. Clearly, she did not think the elements would be as difficult as they were, and she also thought she would be playing with her boyfriend, not against him. She could have watched the previous Blood vs. Water season to see that would not be the case, but I digress. Rocker is voted out early, so at the merge, the last round before she'd be locked into being on the jury and separated from John for another couple of weeks, she quit. People have often wondered why Jeff is so sympathetic to Julie during this quit. Just 2 seasons prior, he raked Colton over the coals for leaving the game. And outside of people who quit for medical reasons, Jeff's not known for treating quitters with kid gloves. But in an interview with Dalton Ross on EW, Jeff explains why. He says this quit is their fault. We are the ones who put the contestants on the show. We test them, we talk to them, we study their psych reports, and then we make a decision to give them one of our very valuable spots. If they quit, it's on us. We either missed it, or in the case of Julie, we anticipated it, but put them on anyway. They were always going to quit, it was just a matter of when. So basically, they knew Julie wasn't cut out for Survivor, she didn't want to be on, and they put her on anyway. All for John Rocker. I love the idea that John Rocker was such a big get that they were willing to risk bad press from casting him, and a quit they themselves anticipated from his girlfriend, all for him to get voted out third. They must have really wanted that sparkling personality.
If you were a man, I would knock your teeth out.
Wow, Prince Charming. At number 2 is Katie Collins from Survivor Blood vs. Water. I know that Katie's said in interviews and her Reddit AMA that she really did want to play Survivor, but I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. Like Ishmael and Moby Dick or Nick Carraway in The Great Gatsby before her, Katie is an unreliable narrator on this front. She simply cannot be counted on to reliably recall things accurately. Why do I believe this? Well, it's simple. No Survivor player before or since approached the game with such visible apathy. Every glance at the camera, word from her mouth, raise of the eyebrow, signaled a profound indifference to the Survivor experience. But Katie's Survivor apathy doesn't even start here in 2013. It goes all the way back to 2001 when her mother, Tina Wesson, won Survivor Australia. This was the most watched season of Survivor ever, the biggest it ever was or ever will be again. For a brief moment in time, Katie's mother Tina was one of the most famous and recognizable people in the United States. 36 million people watched Tina win Survivor on May 3rd, 2001. And little Katie Collins couldn't care less. I want to go to Claire's. That Katie not only ended up on Blood vs. Water, but made the endgame is a miracle to me. Unlike our number 1 player on this list who resented her success in the game, Katie was completely apathetic to it. She could go first, she could win it all. It really didn't matter to her where she ended up. That's not to say she didn't try. She gave solid effort at camp, socially, and in challenges, even stumbling into an immunity win at one point. But no clip better sums up her general apathetic essence than her response to winning immunity when she and her mother were very much in trouble.
Never looked so good on you, honey.
Work it.
That is Katie at a 10 energy level. There's no smoking gun that Katie was indifferent to playing Survivor. There's no interview where she says, "Yeah, I didn't care. My mom tricked me into being here." She was there, so she played because, hey, she's got nothing better to do. Now there is one counter argument that threatens to derail my whole theory. At Final 6, Katie went to Rocks in a deadlock tie, a legitimately huge and risky move that ultimately cost her her game. So you might say, look, she clearly wanted to play Survivor. A willingness to make a big move is all the proof right there. My counter argument? Every expression she ever made ever. I rest my case. At number 1 is the woman who didn't want to play Survivor the most and then nearly won, Courtney Yates in Survivor China. Alright, to say Courtney didn't want to play Survivor is misleading. She wanted to play Survivor for 3 days. Courtney wanted to and expected to be the first person voted out, to take her $1,000 16th place prize and literally sail off into the sunset on the pre-jury trip. She was recruited while waitressing in New York, didn't like or care about Survivor, and literally just wanted a month-long paid vacation on CBS's dime. She had to weigh looking mean on one episode of TV against a free month-long vacation, and she came down on the side of free vacation. But when she actually was on the show, things just kept going wrong for Courtney. She was on the physically stronger tribe. She was on the mentally stronger tribe. Her tribe won the first 2 immunity challenges. Then when they did lose, despite her best efforts, Leslie was voted out instead of her. Things start to look up for Courtney when a swap trades away Fei Long's 2 strongest members, but then the other tribe throws the next immunity challenge. When Fei Long loses again at the last round before the merge, all the rest of the original Fei Long insist on voting out Sharia to enter the merge with numbers. Talk about not being able to catch a break. Before she knows it, she's at the merge, now locked into participating as, at the very least, a juror. And it's only downhill from here. She entered the merge in a majority alliance. She was in a majority within the majority alliance. At every turn, her luck worsens as she, Todd, and Amanda alternate between voting out a former Jean Hu and taking out the outsiders on Fei Long. Before you know it, Courtney's at Final Tribal Council with genuine winner equity after accidentally playing 36 more days than she ever wanted to. Whereas most people want something, money, experience, exposure out of Survivor, Courtney just wanted to go out early and spend a month at a resort pool and charge Mai Tais to CBS's credit card. No more, no less. And then everything went horribly wrong.
Long wins immunity! Fei Long wins! Fei Long wins immunity! Fei Long wins immunity!
Horribly, horribly wrong.
Courtney wins immunity!
Got nothing else for ya. If you're even a little more enthusiastic than Katie is about my channel, like and subscribe and I'll get you more Survivor content just like this. Until next time, don't get idled out.